rolled, get a blunt packed, get a dabbed, get a other thinged. And let's settle in. Let's get ready. Let's get cozy. All those fun words. And while you guys are getting settled in, while you're getting yourselves a drink, and gonna go check out the refreshments over at the bar. While you're doing that, I'm gonna go make a bag for myself. So, excuse me. Oh, is the bag? Oh boy. Oh, it's just right here. I just have to go off camera. That's it. I just had to go off camera. Okay, let's get the bag going. I'm not going to show you the weed this time yet. I'll save it for later. I know people are going to have questions. It's the same stuff as always if you've been here, but we'll leave everybody in suspense. Inflating. Looking real nice today. It is time for a new grinder for me, guys. My beloved grinder of 4 years, which is too many years. The grinder is really starting to give up the ghost. It just needs cleaned. Part of it just needs an alcohol bath, but it was so bad earlier today that the magnetically sealed top grinder piece basically got glued to the bottom, and I had to physically pry it off. It's very cool. 13 says, make a bag for me too. While you're there, sharing is caring, you know. This one is for you, 13. This one's for you. Welcome, and thanks for joining us, man. That is very nice. Okay. Well, guys, oh shit. I don't have comments coming up for some reason. I am sorry. Let's embed this in the stream. I don't know why it wasn't coming up in the stream, but I'll go ahead and fix that right now. This is a level of polish you don't find many other places. You're welcome. I did. Okay. Sorry, I'm already failing pretty badly at doing all kinds of things. It has been a fun review. I'm in the middle of a review like I had done yesterday. So I'm here for a little bit to come hang out while I'm waiting for this review process. Okay. 1 second here. And I promise I will get up and ready and rolling. Phrygian. Texador. Mr. Texador, Mr. or Mrs. Texador says, I love you, Wheats. I watch some of your cartridge and edible videos. I love them. Keep on positive vibes sending your way. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate the kind words. And thanks for tuning in for the live stream. Cool to have you join us, man. Okay. And now David Bass says, fresh nuggets here for me. Best luck of luck to you all. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for joining us, David. And another David B, coming in right beneath him saying, just curious, do you have any links for Volcano repair? I've got a Volcano 1 that went on the fritz after a Super Bowl party. I wish I did, David. That is so sad. I would be so crestfallen if my Volcano went down. I would just check out Stores and Bickle's website. Maybe you can get in, do some chat with one of their representatives and see if they have some advice for you. They seem to be they seem to stand behind their products over there at Stores and Bickle. I've been looking at their place recently. That brand new Volcano is crazy looking with its big, almost hookah pipe effect coming off of it. Haven't tried it though. I've never actually tried any of their smaller vaporizers either, like the Mighty or the Crafty, but I have been tempted. In the middle of a review, I'm doing another tincture review. This time, Select. Ooh, those lights make that hard to see. Select tincture, 500 milligrams THC, 500 milligrams CBD. Doing 100 milligrams of it, as always. Hold on, David Benjamin. I'll get the exact. I'll get that exact URL for you. Stores-pickle.com. And I'll just post it right here in the chat. There you are. I hope they can help you out, David. I hope they can give you a hand, man, because a volcano on the fritz just, it doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound right. The Select here, I have done 5 drops of the about 12 to 13 I plan on doing, which is going to be about 100 milligrams. So let's go ahead and do 2 more drops here. In the meantime, Christopher, welcome, Chris. Topher says, Wheats, welcome back. I want to shill for some standard gummies and 91 plus edibles. And our edibles, 1,000 milligram brownies. Been keeping me mellow during COVID. Otherwise, not super impressed with many edibles. Well, thanks for the, I'm glad you've been enjoying those standard gummies and 91 plus edibles. What is the R edibles, Christopher, with that 1,000 milligram brownie? Where are you located? Because that sounds really great. We don't really have those here. Hey, Grovel, welcome in. So glad you could join us. How are you doing, sir? Getting ready to do 2 more tincture drops, Select 50-50, 1-to-1 here. Now we what? Hablingle. I don't know all right, but we're gonna live whatever. I'm good, bro. I'm fine. Alright, my mouth will air right now, but we'll get with it. Whoa, okay. All right, I won't subject you to any more of that. That's a lot. That's a lot to have to sit through. It's just me with my mouth open going, and I'm sorry. But I was just trying to do it consistently. I still have several more of those to get through before the review is done. And then I have to wait a bunch of time. Christopher says, San Diego are edibles. I don't know. They have 1,000 milligram blackout brownie, and 91 plus makes 1,000 milligram and 3,000 milligram brownies. Holy Jesus Christ. Christopher, so I guess they make these are a edible you're finding either at a gray market dispensary or you're getting from like, I know a lot of people buy stuff through Instagram because the only reason I ask is those edibles, unfortunately, are not legal, quote unquote, in Southern California, period, to sell. You can only have 100 milligrams in your baked good edibles. It's really only tinctures that you can go up to 1,000. Welcome person, says, this is the 3rd time I've caught live and I really enjoy them. Well, thanks, person, and I enjoy you being here. 13 says, must be an alcohol tincture. LOL. I wish I were drunk. I wish that's what I could blame my behavior on. Not true. This is just a good old MCT oil-based tincture. So, my behavior is all me. Ooh, excuse me. Getting that feeling. King Yeti. Hey, what's going on with you, man? Welcome back, King Yeti. Cool to hang out with you again, dude. How are you doing today? We are doing the select 1-to-1 CBD THC 100 milligrams in total tincture. I'm in the middle of a review. At first, back up. So I've been doing something that is so delightful and so, man, it's just been so invigorating. I'll use that word. My wife and I have been listening to slowly, at the same time, through this amazing feature on iOS that I didn't even know existed until she was like, oh, we can just do this, which is audio sharing. If you have Apple headphones, AirPods or AirPods Pro, or the few Power Beats lines that have the Apple chip in them, you can very easily just make it so that you can sort of pair your headphones to somebody else's iPhone and then listen in sync with them to whatever they are listening to. It's very cool. It's a very handy feature. So we've been listening to my favorite sci-fi book of all time together for her first time, Hyperion by Dan Simmons, and it is just so great to listen to it again, and it's just fun to be back in that world. If you guys have never, if you're sci-fi fans, and you've never given Hyperion a shot, it is a total must. The audiobook version of Hyperion is incredible. They have like 7 different voice actors, each doing a character. It's an amazing production. You get your money's worth at like 25 hours of book. And it's a great book to listen to with somebody else because it is just so utterly jam-packed with ideas and questions and curiosities and just bizarro things that it's a great book to share with somebody at the same time, because it's one that you're going to want to like very much talk to people about what you're just experienced. And if you're looking for something very absorbing, check out Hyperion and then read it again many years later. And it's so wonderful. It's just so great. King Yeti says he's been tired. He's been taking care of his twins all day. King Yeti, I didn't know you had twins. Happy Father's Day. Was that this weekend? I don't know. I'm not a father, but happy Father's Day. How old are your twins, King Yeti? And I understand how exhausting that could be. Well, I don't really understand. I'm sure it's way more exhausting than I could know, not having children. But I'd like to say that I at least can somewhat empathize that sounds like that is exhausting. And then Yeti says, what do you think of the Enders series? Ironically, King Yeti, I think Dan Simmons and Orson Scott Card have similar, like, abhorrent views about groups of people, and it's always just been strange. There are a lot of it's very strange that sci-fi is this very, I don't know, inventive genre, there are some of the masters of sci-fi, some of the most well-renowned, well-regarded sci-fi writers are very insanely conservative people. I've never quite understood why sci-fi sort of attracts that mentality, but it's true, and I've not to say anything about the quality of them, because I love Hyperion, even though Dan Simmons is a shitty person. And I'm sure Ender's Game is great, even though Orson Scott Card is a shitty person. I've never read any of the bajillion T Enders books. I know people who love them very much. I did see the terrible Ender's Game movie, and I did not know the twist beforehand, and I really wish I had read the books, because I got to admit that twist, it got me. I mean, it was so obvious in retrospect, and I felt a little like, how did I not? Duh, of course. But it is, I thought it was great. I thought it was an excellent, like, oh shit, kind of moment. The movie's bad, but as a sort of all-time goddamn twist, it's up there. So I should maybe at some point, possibly, I don't know if I'll ever get around to Ender's Game. But I know it has its many, many, many fans, including my freshman suite mate, Scott Kapuscinski. If you're out there, I hope you're still reading all those Ender's Game book. Grovel says, you should really check out that Cradle series if you have not read it. Grovel, your recommendation from however long ago is still staring me in the face. Every time I open my beloved Kindle, it's just like sitting there as this unread thing. I just keep... I'm really bad about books in that, like, generally speaking, if I buy a book, I read it. I'm going to read it, for sure. I don't really stockpile books and don't read them. But in the rare cases where I do read books, or do not read a book I buy, it gets kind of lost, where I'll be like, I'll buy something new and I'll be like, oh, I gotta read this thing. But then our consumerist mentalities take over and I just buy something and end up reading that because it has these positive connotations in my head from the spending of the money I just did. All that's to say, Grovel, that I hope too soon. I've heard really great things. Low CMF says, wow, this channel has grown like a man-child. Oh, well, thanks, man. I appreciate that, Low CMF. I'd like to think of myself as a man-child. I'm not sure I'm that mature. I'm not sure I have that level of... I'm not sure I'm that responsible, and I'm certainly not sure that that Judd Apatow could make a movie based upon my life. But I'd like to flatter myself and think of myself as a man-child. That I've made it. I've made it there, but maybe not. Love those emojis. Nate8 says, you got the best beard on YouTube. Well, thanks, Nate8. Nate8, if you could just convince me not to pluck it and pull it and twist it and twirl it constantly. Oh my God. I'm going to rip it all out. What's that condition called where you rip your own hair out? I can't remember the name. It's a terrible psychological... I mean, I'm not saying you're terrible for having it. It's just such a shitty thing that your mind does to you. I don't actually have that for my beard, but I do, maybe, because I find myself just like plucking. Weird. So, Christopher says, so Wheats, break it down. The race riots, the looting, COVID, red, blue. What is your general take on the state of current events? Wow, Christopher, going in with the loaded questions. We'll get to that. Let's go ahead and get a refill on the bag. Let's get a couple more droppers in. Christopher, what a question. Wow. Let's see how many people I can get upset at me. Cool. Oh, huh. Mmm. Mmm. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, I'm sorry. I did that too long already. Ooh, that actually is kind of rough. I gotta get some kind of liquid in me. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Everybody who's just joining in. We're doing a quick dab here. I'm many tincture drops in at this point. Probably approaching the number I need to do. Maybe even having surpassed it. Evidence to that being I can't remember how many I've done. I guess I could I could watch the tapes, but I won't. Alrighty. This is some really good crumble, by the way, from somebody who makes crumble at somewhere, Belmont Shore is where I got it. Nice hearty little dab there, by the way. Very hearty. Very nice. Okay. For the road. Okay, welcome back, me. I need to slow down, in fact. I also need to slow down because I don't want to affect my review. I'll still have to wait 2 hours, but still. Because I'm incredibly high right now. Jason Andrew, thank you for, the heart in those kind words. Excited. Before I answer Christopher's juggernaut of a question, King Yeti says, my twins were 2.5 months early, born February 18th, due date of May 1st, so technically they are 2 months old. Holy hell. Oh my god, King Yeti. You've had a life, my friend. You have had a fucking crazy life. I'm so glad it sounds like they're okay. I hope they're okay. I hope everybody in that process is home happy and healthy. And boy, to have that happen right at the beginning of all of this, and then to have to be, I'm sure, in the hospital quite a lot for the very beginning of all this. King Yeti, you're a real trooper, man. You're a real trooper. That sounds like you built some character. Oh, glad to hear it, King Yeti. That is so good to hear. Hopefully, boys, girls, identical, fraternal. I'm always, I mean, just like everybody, I'm so fascinated with twins. I think everybody is definitely jealous of twins, right? There's nobody that's not maybe a psychopath. There's some sociopaths or something, but I think either just people will admit it, or even if they won't, I think secretly everybody is a little jealous of twins, and because it's just it's kind of like a little hack for life that you get another you that is, that is kind of permanently bonded to you. 3 Perfect Strangers on Hulu. Holy shit, 3 Perfect Strangers. What a crazy, crazy, crazy story that is about twins. King Yeti says, yes, the virus kept me from seeing my twins for 2 months. Oh my god, man, that sucks. Oof. And David Benjamin found a store 10 minutes away. Hopefully they can help him out with his volcano, which broke. Stephanie, welcome back, Stephanie, and she agrees that twins are very fascinating. I couldn't agree more. A lot of horrible studies have been done on poor twins, though, because they are perfect human lab mice. But it sucks. Okay. So Christopher back said, so Wheats, break it down. The race riots, the looting, COVID, red, blue. What is your general take on the state of current events? Christopher, it's, to me, this is, it's surreal, but not surreal probably in the way that it is for most people. It's surreal for me in the way that it's like, oh, okay, we are finally where this always had to be, where this always had to end up. That's taking out the coronavirus side of it. But the coronavirus is the particular of the pandemic is not at all predictable. That singular event, but the idea that there would be some great test of both us and both as a country and then as a globe would have to happen just as a matter of like drawing straws. At some point there was going to be a global crisis at some point during Donald Trump's presidency, and at some point all of the vile shit you say has to come home to roost. It's crazy that both of these things unfortunately aligned at the same time. So my feeling, the surreal, is like, it's not that it's like, I can't believe this is happening, I can't believe we're living through this. It's more of a, okay, yes, I wasn't fucking crazy. It really is this fucking bad. And we are now all just sort of getting the hell out of this collective delusion that we were kind of in, because we all agreed to sort of ignore big, giant, fucking red flags because I guess the Dow Jones was at record levels. I don't know. In response to the coronavirus and how badly we fucked up, and my feelings are pretty complex there. But as a thing, as a crisis of that caliber, was going to happen. You're always going to have something like that every 4 years. That's just the luck of the draw. And the amazing book called The Fifth Risk from Michael Lewis, the guy who wrote The Big Short, the story about the 2008 financial collapse and the people who made money off of it by shorting basically the housing market. Also wrote Moneyball. Incredible journalist, incredible storyteller. He wrote this short book a couple of years ago called The Fifth Risk, which is about how fucking important, how crazily, vitally important bland, banal-sounding government institutions are. Things like the FDA or the CDC or the USDA, and how if those institutions get corrupted by people who aren't motivated there for the best interest of that department, but instead motivated by some external factor, how utterly chaotic that would be for us as a country if that were to happen. Well, sure enough, it fucking happened, and Michael Lewis should be pissing on everybody right now saying, I fucking told you so. I fucking told you so. It was gonna... You put these goddamn idiots in charge, and you're gonna have this shit. The United States could not be doing worse. Let's be entirely honest. It could not be doing worse. In terms of coronavirus, we slowed very briefly what was always going to be. It didn't matter that we slowed it because we just gave up, and then that slowness ended up being for absolutely no purpose, because once you've given up and allowed it to start to get out of control, well, it doesn't matter that you once sort of slowed and nearly stopped its progress. Well, not that we ever nearly stopped its progress, not at all, not even close. The U.S. we should be sickened. Every single human being in this country, in the world, when the U.S. is supposed to be the fucking beacon of freedom, this shining beacon on a hill, this thing that the world sees as an ideal nation, as this beautiful, idealistic version of what a nation and what a citizen can be. When we fucked up this badly, we could not have done worse. It's just unbelievable. And the fact that, like, we're supposed to revere these people like Dr. Fauci. I detest Dr. Fauci probably just as much as Donald Trump does, but for entirely different reasons. He's a little piece of shit twerp who had his moment to say fucking something, to say, God help us. God help us. We are in big fucking trouble if we don't do something different. He never took the opportunity to say that. Now it's too late. Now his words are meaningless because he's already been totally destroyed, deservedly so, by the conservative media, not for the reasons they're destroying him, but for being just a sniveling little suck-up, just like every other little sniveling suck-up. The most he could muster was not a direct contradiction of his boss, not even to his face, but was like a gentle suggestion that maybe you could do something that Donald Trump does not do. You could do something different. That's it. It's revolting. It's revolting. So the riots that are happening, thank God they're happening. Riots is the wrong term for them. Let's call them revolutions. I mean, it's unbelievable that it's taken this long. It's so heartening to me to see. My biggest hobby horse for my entire adult and even juvenile, like as soon as I was aware of how fucked up it was, the U.S. justice system is such a goddamn travesty. It's a fucking travesty, and it always has been. And the fact that we forever just... what I think about America, and then I'll just take a break from all this, we'll get to more pleasant, good vibes, is that America thinks of itself, Americans love to think of themselves as these rugged individuals that aren't going to let anybody to tell them what to think, god damn it, because they're fucking American. But the truth is the exact opposite. Is Americans crave authority. They crave it. We want somebody so badly to tell us what to do. Americans are more conformist and more unwilling to question dogma or established mythology than any other Western world. I mean, it's disgusting. Like, how we still unironically do the Pledge of Allegiance. Why? What do you pledge? Like, what are you swearing fealty to the United States for? What has it done for you? But why do we parrot these lies over and over and over again that, America is the greatest country in the world, we have the greatest healthcare system, and we just, for years, even the most sort of liberal people would just parrot the most, our founding fathers were such noble and wonderful people, and our system of government is the greatest democratic system in the world. Yeah, most people, like, either they shouldn't have believed it, or if they did, they were just doing so because they didn't want to rock the boat. Because if you did rock the boat, like the fucking Dixie Chicks, well, no longer the Dixie Chicks, but like in 2004, 2003, whatever it was, when they criticized George Bush for going into Iraq, a thing that they were absolutely 100% right for, they were kicked out of polite society for a decade, for just gently suggesting, oh, maybe the Iraq war was a mistake. We are just so ingrained to being propagandized. I mean, just propagandized in the most, just the absolute most, the essence of propaganda, just brainwashing, just beating people over the head with a message that isn't true until they believe it, whether they don't even begin to question it. It's just so locked in that the idea of questioning it is so psychically damaging that that they'll tell their neighbor to shut the fuck up if they do something stupid. Holy hell. Okay. I'm sorry. That's it. I will take a break from ranting. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. That was not cogent or good. I will get caught up on chat. And I am sorry to anybody if I said anything offensive. Of course I said things offensive. My bad. I'm sorry. But it was asked. And again, I apologize. Okay. King Yeti. King Yeti says his twins are a handful. I imagine, man. King Yeti, are these your first kids? Have you any other children, or are you diving in head first with twins? And you said they've been home for 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks, something like that. I imagine those are some crazy, weird, stressful, fun, terrifying, anxious, exhilarating moments. Michael Floyd says China lied, though. Of course, China. Yeah, that's. Remember, Donald Trump saved he saved over 1 billion American lives by closing the border to China early. Donald Trump personally rescued over 1 trillion Americans by deciding to close the border to China personally himself. He dragged the chain between our two countries that are separated by the Pacific Ocean and said, no more, China. And with that single action, Donald Trump, our president, our Lord and Savior, saved over 1 quadrillion American lives. Do you know that? Did you know that? I've been told that every day, several times. So, gotta be true. Oh boy. I'm so sorry. I should just skip the comments because I'm just gonna get right back into it. Ms. Sabrina says, just out of curiosity, have you tried this Sticks THC pens? Let me move the chat closer to the camera so I'm not always looking away from you guys. How weird. I'm sorry, I am lost my place. I'm quite high, sis. They're a new brand. I tried them and I think they're great. Ms. Sabrina, I have not actually tried the Sticks THC pens, but now that I've seen your endorsement, I will be on the lookout. Where did you find them, Lil Miz? What part of the country are you in? Michael Floyd says Trump closed our borders and was mocked. Okay. Thank you. I am sorry again about all of my talk. It's been simmering, not for months, but for literal years. It is. Whew. Okay. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, King Yeti. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Oh, and King Yeti, they are your first children. Congrats, triply, doubly, mega congrats, dude. That is so cool. It's that time in my life too where everybody is all of the people I grew up with are having kids. Actually, I know 4 people who had children basically since March, which I'm sure, Yeti, you can understand is probably one of the makes the already crazy, bizarro experience of having a child that much crazier to do it under such novel circumstances. I really wonder if we do survive all of this, when we survive, after everything passes, after this moment passes, how we will look back on this era, at what happened to this time. Will it be something that people are so traumatized by that we try to collectively forget it? I think we will hopefully be over-prepared for future pandemics. Generally, that's the way disasters work, is you don't prepare for a disaster until it happens, and then you over-prepare for the next one. Oh, I'd much rather be over-prepared, and I hope that's the case. And I totally lost my train of thought. Coronavirus. I should stop talking about... It's all we think about. Oh, yes. Sorry. It isn't political. I really just wonder how we will remember this time as a culture. Will it be something that people don't sort of talk about because it's so painful for people? It's almost like war-like experiences, or some people's experiences during the Great Depression, times where things are really bleak. Often aren't as are kind of not addressed as often as you would think an event of that caliber would be in art. So I wonder, and then things like that are relics of this moment, because this has been going on for so long. There are whole things that have been planned, developed, and executed, released, and exist during this time period, and our time capsules specifically of this. I think of like the TV shows that have done like reunion episodes based around pandemics, like Parks and Recreation, or communities like Table Read. Will people go back and watch that stuff? Like 5 years from now, when people are binging Parks and Rec on Peacock, is that what it'll be on? God forbid. When people are binging Parks and Rec, are they going to watch the coronavirus reunion episode? Are they going to want to? Are we going to... is this going to be something we're going to talk about and think about and write about and parse and art and in academia and in culture and in, well, just, every sort of human facet for years? I honestly don't know. I have no clue. Well, I guess our next closest sort of possible analog would be the Spanish flu, and it is known as like the forgotten pandemic, the silent flu or whatever, in that people didn't talk about it, and it was actually way deadlier than the coronavirus so far. But yeah, I really do wonder how we're going to look back on this. Like, what will people think? What will people say? How will we process 5 years from now? Will we still be... Will there be like this, a sense of celebration, jubilation, we beat it? This deep sense of remorse of like, we lost so many people, we didn't need to. Will it be a never again type sense? What I don't know. I really don't know. And I've spent a lot of time oddly curious about that question. largely, now I'm realizing probably because it's just fun to daydream about not living in this not living in this world anymore. This time period. Hillbilly Hippie says, "It's all good, brother. I spent my life watching the world tear apart overseas. What a waste." Hillbilly Hippie, yes, one of the bullshit pieces of rhetoric that I referred to is our love the troops, thank you for your service, thank you for your service, thank you for your service. I worked for a little bit with mental health services that worked with the VA's office specifically, and I knew many vets, including the great professionals who were working there, who were vets themselves, that detested when people said that to them, because they weren't sure that they were happy that they had served. They weren't certain that why they didn't want to be thanked for something that they wish they hadn't had any hand in, and how what we think we're doing is being nice and friendly and patriotic and a good American is actually quite hurtful to a lot of people, and again, we just refuse to question it because we are such an absolutely completely conformist society that believes it's nothing but cowboys. I don't know, man. But again, I'm glad you're okay, Hillbilly Hippie, and I'm glad you found weed, dude. I'm glad it's you made it. Christopher says, "My outlook on America has been skewed for life. I will remember the people who shunned safety protocols. I have lost respect for a lot of people. America is a sick country and culture." It absolutely is. Thank you, Christopher. It has certainly lost its way, and the ironic thing is people think that it's like, well, let's go back to this idealized past, like the 50s and 60s, and they say that unironically and don't realize just how awful the 50s and 60s were in America, in American history. Racial violence, political violence, social unrest, extreme poverty. But just like other things, we've mythologized it, and we have this America in the 50s was the most wonderful country in the world that's ever been. The most prosperous, most glorious, most shining thing that's ever existed. Bullshit. 10 high flushes. It will be remembered a time of utter failure on the part of the federal government. Hopefully. But 10 high flush, here is the worry. The GOP strategy, as they have articulated, is blame all of the problems on, blame everybody's problems on government, and then do everything you can to make government as awful and as ineffective as you've told everybody that it is already. So the rhetoric comes first. You poison the well, and then everybody dies. I don't know where I was going with that. Yes, I don't know the last thing America's done that it can be. There are a couple things America's done that I can be proud of. Won't get into them, but as a civic issue, not a cultural issue or a political issue, but as in terms of like something we have accomplished, something we have done, something we have built, something we have given up, something we have ascertained, something we have it's been a long time. It's been a very, very long time. The ACA was utter bullshit. It was a piece of shit half measure that was always going to be hated by everybody. And in addition to just being a total toothless half measure, it basically allowed it. I don't know. I guess I was going to say our last accomplishment is a shitty, terrible, a necessary upgrade to an abysmal healthcare system. That was a laughable half measure at best. Is our last big civic accomplishment. Hillbilly Hippie says, I hope that people will learn to listen to others after all this. The young people know it's time to listen to them. Hillbilly Hippie, I hope that is true. I hope Americans will listen to experts again, will listen to reason, will not listen to hucksters, con artists, flim-flam artists, snake oil salesman. It seems unlikely, but you know, we can hope. We can hope. King Yeti says younger people believe in made-up constructs that were intentionally created and sewn into academia to divide people by their race. The Reality Bubble, a book I talked about yesterday that I finished. Oh man, her chapter on the sort of our time-based constructs and how utterly bizarre they actually are. The just bizarro idea that 90% of the global population probably lives by a 7-day week standard in a 30-day month kind of based calendar, when those things are just totally 100% arbitrary constructs. Tuesday isn't a thing. I mean, but yet we made this idea up of a Tuesday, and everybody agrees to follow that. Everybody says, okay, we will say that somehow there is some idea that the world has this repetition every 7 days, and that's what we're going to build our economies, our culture, the very structures of our society around, is this idea that time is built in these weird chunks that we've created, these that people will have commerce in this random 40-hour block, in this 5-day chunk of this 7-day thing that we call a week, and that's how we're just going to organize everything, is going to be based around that. I know that sounds a lot like Philosophy 101, like, whoa, man, kind of stuff, and it is, but whoa, man, it really is pretty fucking wild that everybody has decided, yes, the world should be divided into 7-day blocks, and those should be then collected into 30 or 31-day periods, and those should be bundled together in a dozen to make 1 year. Now, the things that are celestial, like the stuff that is, lunar, solar, celestial based, makes total sense. It does make sense there are 12 months in a year. That does make sense. It does make sense that the day should be divided up in some kind of ways, because there are obviously repeatable patterns and things that are going through the day. But the idea that all that other stuff that is going to be just declared by fiat as pretty wild. Amazing detail from this book that I just want to share with you is this idea of alternative clocks, as clocks were becoming a bigger thing in Europe, and people were becoming more used. I mean, because for the great majority of human history, there was, I mean, you didn't know the time. There wasn't, you didn't even, the idea that you would sort of have a precise measurement, that you could tell somebody a precise thing to like arrange things around was crazy. How would you ever even do that? It wasn't until clocks became common that you could start to even think that way. People, for the great majority of human history, would find the idea of what we are doing so bizarre, so utterly radical and wild. And I not surprised that they would, but anyways, as clocks were becoming famous, people were trying to think of alternative ways to make clocks other than just vibrating quartz, which was how they were doing it. And there were some great examples. A botanist devised a floral clock. It was so amazing. This clock, he took a plot of land and divided it up into, I think he did it in like 24 plots, basically. And the idea of his clock was he knew, he could tell you what time of day it was based upon what flower was either blooming or beginning to retract its blossom. Because each flower has a very specific time of day, or he knew, this botanist knew 24 different flowers that he could come across that had different, very specific times that could be mapped onto a clock, our idea of a 24-hour day, and could make that many flowers, and could make a clock that way. So you would just look at his garden. He would look at his garden and see like the tulip, the red tulip is blooming, which he knew only bloomed between 5 and 5:30 a.m. So you see the red tulips blossom, you know it's that time. Or if you see the daffodils starting to come retract, you know it's 6 in the afternoon, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. Loved it. What a cool idea. I'd love to see somebody try to do one again. It's got to be very difficult to accomplish, and of course it has to be hyper local is the problem with it, because flowers have different times that they blossom, not just, you know, between different species, but you know, the same species will have different blossoming times depending on where it's at, latitude and longitudinally. The other idea for a clock that was amazing was the bird call clock. And as my wife said when I regaled this tale to her, she's like, not that stupid clock that everybody used to have that would like chirp at the hour. No. Much like the flower clock, it was a guy, what is the bird? An ornithologist, knew, you know, hundreds of bird calls and was able to arrange like 24 bird calls that line up to 24 overlapping times during our day, and could just listen and tell you what time it was. Like if the warbling warbly doo-doo was making its warbly doo-doo, he's like, oh, it's 8:15 in the morning, because that's what time the warbly doo goes out and wants to get out for a sexual experience. Hello, Aaron Poohead. Hello, Aaron Poohead. Great name. King Yeti says, oh, time definitely doesn't exist as we know it. Yes, I mean, true in so many different ways. I mean, both in the sense that our constructs of time are so bizarre, and then also in the sense of physics, time is also not really a real thing, is only a consequence of space time is, and relativity, which is impossible truly to get your head around because, well, your brain literally isn't designed to handle that. I'm getting ready to take a break. It's been an excellent stream. Before I go, I could totally rant about something else. I'll do my last bag for sure, too. Hassan is cracked, says, it's the end of the world. Is it the end of the world? Hassan is cracked. I hope not. But, the doomsday clock is at 2 minutes to midnight, so they know better than me. I, they, me, pronouns. Who the hell cares? Oh, I let it get cool, so we gotta warm her back up. Come and hang out. Aaron Poohead, how are you, man? I'm so glad you could join us. I don't think that you're a poohead, but I do love that as a name. As somebody who thinks scatological humor is the pinnacle of humor. Fuck anybody who says puns and shit jokes, and especially shitty puns are the low forms of humor. God damn you. God damn you. There is no finer or more sophisticated type of humor than a pee-pee poo-poo joke or a great play on words. All those are amazing. Get your pretentious ass out of here if you can't laugh at a fart noise. God damn you. Gravel, tell us your thoughts on Hamilton if you have seen it. Oh, Gravel, great question. What a fun thing to ask about. Gravel, never seen it. Don't care to be entirely honest. It's not. Well, there are a lot of things that I don't find interesting about it. One, I just don't need another piece of hagiography about the Founding Fathers. I know it's the different take of the Founding Fathers, but from what I understand, it really doesn't barely mention slavery at all, which to me seems, I don't get that. I just don't get that, especially with a mixed race cast. Why? I don't get it. Yeah, I don't need more hagiography. And also, Aaron, I just don't need more people fawning over them. But that's not the primary reason. If that was it, I would have still watched it. The biggest reason, the most primary reason, is I don't like musicals. I don't. I find them incomprehensible. I never know what's going on in musicals. For whatever reason, plot delivered lyrically just goes over my head. I can't tell you what's going on. I never find music good because, one, I have very limited taste in music, and I'm like one of those people that devotes themselves to music to like it. Like, I'm gonna get into this, I'm gonna like this. And of course, I don't do that before any theatrical experience. And then I knew theater people. I was unfortunately, unfortunately, and there was nothing I could do about it. There was somebody for a long time who was way into theater that I had to be close to, and it was miserable. So never seen Hamilton. I won't say that I'll never watch it. I know it's the biggest deal in the world. Has been, is again now that it's on Disney Plus. My wife is she's more than vaguely interested in watching it. She will like to watch it. I might watch it with her. I don't know. I do find musical theater, though, just to be so hard to. I find it, and I also find it boring. In addition to it being incomprehensible. Now that being said, love musicals that make fun of musicals. Spam a lot. Incredible. Anything that messes with the tropes of musicals I like, even though I don't really like musicals. Maybe that does make sense. It's actually a lot like my disdain for most biopics, and especially, I'll use the term again, sorry, wow, quite high. Hagiographic biographies or biopics about musicians or other people that we already give too much credence to, especially, so you're very formulaic, walk the lines, and what's the Ray, all those just paint by numbers and musical biopics. Don't like any of them at all. Find them just completely dull and just so bereft of originality. I mean, they're just so plug and play. That being said, one of my favorite movies of all time, and another movie I quite love, are spoofs of musical biopics, and I love them absolutely. One being Walk Hard, truly one of the funniest movies, one of my favorite movies, one of the funniest movies ever made. Without any irony, I've said it since 2007. I'll deliver it here. I will say that John C. Reilly gives the best performance in movie history in Walk Hard. It's the best acting ever. My second runner-up performance would be Jake Gyllenhaal in Prisoners, but Walk Hard, so great. And then also Pop Star. What a wonderful, also, musical biopic spoof with Andy Samberg. But if you haven't seen Walk Hard, I think it just came out on Netflix, maybe? Holy shit, if you haven't seen Walk Hard, stop watching me right now and go. It's what you need to be doing. Oh, Grovel says he enjoyed Hamilton and doesn't like musicals himself. Good to know. I might take that into account when deciding to watch it. Thanks for the heads up. Fur Bear, good to see you again, man. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us. It's been some time. Hillbilly Hippie reminding me that it's dab time. King Yeti quoting one of my favorite lines from Walk Hard. I don't need you. If anything, you need me. Because you're a baby. My favorite line is probably actually from either that scene or one of those scenes. No, it's later. It's where Christian Wiig confronts him about getting married to his second wife, and she catches them almost in the middle of coitus, but right before, and she's like, "You can't get married. You're already married." And he's like, "Well, what about if you're famous?" Just one of my favorite lines in movie history. I could sing Let's Duet by heart, probably. I've seen Walk Hard a dozen times. I'm certain of it. Junior Campos says, any bad edible experience? Nothing bad. I have had very strong ones that have prevented me from finishing reviews before. So I'm going to do one more dropper, which is going to get me at my limit, and then I'll go do that dab that I promised earlier. Okay. Goodbye. Okay. got a hinker going down. Sorry, I wasn't talking. I was trying not to subject you to it. I've got this great crumble here. I really kind of like it a lot. I generally like crumble. It's pretty easy to handle. You get a little bit bigger for this last goodbye, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen dab. Wow. Okay. Yes, Fur Bear. A farewell dab. I leave you with, if you haven't seen Walk Hard nor Popstar Never Stop Popping, watch them. They're both incredible movies. I already have the soundtracks going in my head. I'm hearing some Fuck Bin Laden, some Let's Duet, just going in the background. The songs that I probably sing most just sort of in the background are novelty songs from those movies, and recently songs from I Think You Should Wait, the amazing set of skits on Netflix with Tim Robinson. It's Friday night, and I'm thinking that just might something. Goodbye, guys. Watch all that. Grovel, thank you. Grovel, I know you're gonna love it. Bye, guys.